My friends, tonight I want to celebrate something that happened 40 years ago this week. I almost missed it. And it's kind of important to me as a guitar player. Those of you who follow my channel, you know I do videos about a lot of stuff, but my passion, I love guitars, but I do lots of different topics. It's kind of a weird mishmash. I'm going to apologize a little bit. You're going to hear my wife Nikki and her cousin Sarah are in the next room. You're going to hear them talking a little bit because there's no avoiding it. They're in there. I have my Telecaster with me tonight. It not exactly set up to be optimal recording. I just thought I'd have it tonight because it's just I'm just enthusiastic about what my topic is tonight. My topic is the night that changed my life as a guitar player. And so I was thinking the other day about what was it that led me down the blues path, and I'm sort of a weird little amalgam of country and blues and rock and southern rock and tiny little bit of jazz I throw in there. I'm not really great at any of it, but probably better at blues than anything else. And how did I get started playing blues? And it just occurred to me, I was thinking the other day, I said, it was about 1982. It was probably June because school had just let out. For high school, I just graduated. I was dating a girl named Terry, and Terry and I were going to go see Eric Clapton. We decided we'd just go see him. He was sort of, this sounds funny, but at that time, 1982, he was a little bit of a has-been. And by that I mean he'd been off the scene for a little while. He had not had any major, huge hits in recent times. And he just was playing at a high school gym in Bristol, Tennessee. Now, it's a nice high school gym, place called Viking Hall. So those of you who know about that area know it's a really nice venue, but still it's just a high school gym. We decided on a whim we'd go see him because I'm a guitar player. At this point, I'm playing. Been playing for about 3 years, and I was playing stuff like Leonard Skinner and Blackfoot and Molly Hatchet. I was playing southern rock stuff, and I was also into Rush. I was trying to learn finger picking and classical introductions and stuff like Alex Lifeson would do from Rush. And but Terry wanted to go see Clapton. I said, well, he is a legend. I don't know much about him. You got to remember, at this time there wasn't the internet. The radio stations played what they wanted to play. You might put in a request or something, but you didn't just have mainstream rock playing the heck out of Clapton. He was out of style. And so you didn't hear much of his music. You heard some of it. So anyway, I'm going to tell you about this show we went and saw. So we go, and I didn't know who the Fabulous Thunderbirds were. Nobody knew who the Fabulous Thunderbirds were then. Now, that's the group that had this mega hit that was Tough Enough. Ain't that tough enough or rough enough, whatever. And of course, Jimmy Vaughn was the guitar player for the Fabulous Thunderbirds. And I remember going to the concert, and we kind of push our way up front. I mean, there's all kind of just different. There's older people there. I say older, mid-30s. When you're 18, that seemed like an old person. I remember asking some dude, who's this band the Thunderbirds going to play? He said, oh, they're a real good complimentary band to Clapton. Now, they're a good blues band out of Texas. You'll like them. They're really good. They got a real good guitar player. Now, this is before anybody knew anything about Stevie Ray Vaughan. So this is Stevie Ray Vaughan's older brother, Jimmy. And they had a really great harmonica player. His name was Kim something. I'll look it up. I've actually got, over here on the screen, I've got a Wikipedia thing. I'm going to share some of my screen here in a minute. But so he said the Thunderbirds will be a good opening act for him. You're going to like them. And indeed I did. They came out and played 8 or 9 songs. Played one song twice. I can't remember what it was. It was something like The Crawl or something like it. It had a really killer, not the name of it, but something like that. Really killer guitar riffs in it. And so I enjoyed watching Jimmy. I enjoyed his energy. The band was great. It sounded awesome. And then it was time for Clapton to come out. And so at this point, what I knew about Clapton was songs like Promises and Lay Down Sally and Cocaine, of course, and Wonderful Tonight. I had heard these songs. because those were sort of staples of AM radio for a while, so you'd hear those. But there was so much I didn't know about Clapton because I was just into Southern rock. Back then, like I say, no internet. You just go get whatever record you can, whatever you hear on the radio, whatever your friends are sharing, and it was not Clapton. Nobody was sharing Clapton with me. And so by the time Clapton came out, Terry and I had pushed our way to the very front of the stage. There's a laptop in front of me, a MacBook Pro, and I can reach out and touch it. And that's how close I was to Eric Clapton's feet. They didn't, as I recall, they did not have a separation there where they usually have a security area. I mean, somebody could have just climbed up on stage if they wanted to. So it was awesome. The only pedal he had on the floor was a wah-wah. No other pedals. I didn't see switchers for boosts. I didn't see tube screamers. I didn't see phasers or reverbs or anything. I don't even know what kind of amp he was going into. I assume it was probably some kind of Fender or Marshall or something. He had this old beat up black Strat, the Strat that I guess people would know of as Blackie, that are the people that follow Clapton are big fans. And now I know that's what it was. Now I'm going to go here and show you a page. It was interesting. So one of the things that prompted me to do this video is you go here, there's a site called Where's Eric, and you can look up, I typed in, to search for this, I typed in June 1982, Eric Clapton, Bristol, Tennessee, and sure enough, here's somebody showing the band lineup, Viking Hall, Bristol, Tennessee, United States, June 24th. So I'm just a few days over the 40-year anniversary of this day that changed my life. And so let me before I go too much into what I'm going to talk about here with the band, which was, good grief, it was a great band. It was a tremendous show. It was not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting to be watching some kind of washed up old blues dude from the 60s. I had heard he'd played with Cream. I did not know he'd played with Derek and the Dominoes. So a lot of surprises happened for me that night. He started out with a song called Tulsa Time, and which I encourage you to go listen to the Just One Night record. Go to YouTube Music, whatever, Google the songs on it, and Just One Night is his live show that was very similar to this show. That album had come out, I think, about a year before, or 6 months or so before I went and saw this show. So I actually had bought that record and then listened through it one time. It was a double record, live record. And it's like I listened to it and I said, gee, that's really good. I need to listen more to that. But I was trying to play in a band, so I was studying other music at this point. I wasn't really diving deep into that album. I do remember there were some songs on there that got my attention. One of them was called Early in the Morning. But he started out with Tulsa Time. He played slide. The guy behind him played some lead guitar on a Telecaster. That's why the guy behind him inspired me to go this route. Eric inspired me to start playing blues. The dude behind him, who I had no clue who this guy was, playing guitar, just solidly impressed me the entire night. Everything he did was just smashingly good, although Clapton was on fire. Absolutely on fire. Anybody who puts down Eric Clapton has just never really listened to him and watched him. And he plays different now than he did then. Then it was just like, I don't know, there was just like an energy and what it was, I think he'd come off of a drug and alcohol binge and he'd gotten clean and he was out there playing and really enjoying it, and he had a band that was fantastic, phenomenal. So it turns out the guy playing behind him was a guy named Albert Lee. Let's go over here and talk real quickly about this. So Clapton started out with Tulsa Time, and he played slide on it, and I was not superly impressed. I mean, I thought, oh, that's a pretty good slide, but dang, that guy behind him is really playing. The guy's name's Albert Lee. Go Google Albert Lee if you're a young person who doesn't know anything about him. He's a legendary country, rockabilly, rock, blues, jazz, he's one of the most well-rounded guitar players you'll ever hear. Plays some of the most clever licks, and he's just an absolute master at what he does. Albert Lee played Telecaster that night, sang a couple songs. There's a song called All Our Pastimes, I think, that's on that he played that night. That I just loved it. I really loved that song, and Albert sang that. The guy, okay, the other thing that blew me away, of course, the drummer and the bass player had no clue who they are. I have since looked these people up since I've had this here. Couple of surprises. But the one thing that got me, the guitar players were tremendous, and I remember Terry and I talking over the course of the concert. I said, man, these keyboard players are killer. These guys can burn it up. And you know, I loved good keyboards back then. I actually originally wanted to be a piano player. So, I mean, I was a Billy Joel fan, an Elton John fan. Anybody could really play piano very well. Dennis DeYoung from Styx. I liked really good keyboard players. And so I could super appreciate that. And there's this guy, Chris Stainton, who I knew who he was because I read the liner notes of Just One Night. And so I knew this guy had to be great. Didn't know who all he played with until really just recently, looking him up on Wikipedia, I find out the history of people like Chris. But Chris had played on that Just One Night album. The other guy I didn't know. This is what really got me when I looked this up. So I'm a huge Procol Harum fan. And I remember I've often thought, man, I'd like to go see Procol Harum. And Gary Brooker died this past year, I think. He was like 75, 77 years old, something like that. And so Gary Brooker is the lead singer and keyboard player for Procol Harum. And I saw Gary, I remember he was the one that played the organ. And Stainton mostly played piano. So it was like an electric piano setup for Stainton. And it was a really great B3 setup for this guy, Gary Brooker. So this is the guy that sang Whiter Shade of Pale. For those of you who don't know, if you're here again, if you're a youngster and you don't know what Whiter Shade of Pale is, it's probably one of the great Baroque sort of, it's sort of like a combination of classical music and soul and R&B and rock, and it's just a masterpiece. It's one of those masterpiece pieces of music. It's probably one of the top 20 songs that's ever been written, honestly, for rock and soul and blues, and it's just masterful. Now, it's not Gary that plays the organ on that. He plays piano on that song and sings it. But as I recall, Gary played. Now, I didn't even know this was Gary Brooker. I didn't realize I'd seen one of my heroes back in 1982 in June. I did not realize, I didn't even know who Procol Harum was then. I'd heard the song Whiter Shade of Pale, but I didn't even know who sang it. During the course of the night, Clapton played songs like Lay Down Sally. He did play Cocaine. He did play Early in the Morning, which I mentioned. He played a song called Worried Life Blues that I don't know, man. It just, when I heard that song, it got me. It had me by the throat. And so it's like halfway through this show, I'm thinking, okay, I got to play blues. I got to start playing some blues. And he's playing, bet you didn't think I knew how to rock and roll. This is a song called Blues Power. Go listen to Blues Power. He played After Midnight, sort of a different version of it. And you might have heard he had a commercialized version that he put out in the mid-'80s. But forget about that version. This version of After Midnight, the J.J. Cale's flavored sounding one, is the one you want to go listen to. As I say, every song on Just One Night, I'm pretty sure he did almost everything. He certainly did Wonderful Tonight. He did not do Promises, as I recall. He did a song called I Can't Stand It, which was one of his hits, one of his very minor hits, but I remember him doing that. And the one that got me, though, is, here again, no internet, unless you just happen to hear it on the radio, unless somebody just says, that's Eric Clapton with Derek and the Dominoes. You don't know what Derek and the Dominoes is. So he played Layla, and I remember I was blown away. He starts to da-na-na-na-na-na, and he's playing that riff, and I'm watching the, all the. Anyway, he started playing those riffs, and suddenly I realized Derek and the Dominoes was Eric Clapton. when the voice kicks in and the guitar's the way it was and everything, there was no mistaking. You're realizing this is not a cover. Wait a minute. Eric Clapton was Derek and the Dominoes. And so then it's funny. Then you go start looking it up. I went and bought the album, and I realized, oh wow, there's a whole lot I don't know about Clapton. I think my guitar's out of tune. Maybe I should just take this off and not even have it. I'm embarrassing myself. But I'll say this: that night, it did. It totally transformed me. I didn't realize it. Like I said, I'm seeing Gary Brooker. Didn't realize I'm seeing this guy, Dave Markey on bass, was fantastic. The guy, Henry Spinetti, if you go look him up, he played on Baker Street from Jerry Rafferty. He was a studio drummer, played on all kinds of different stuff. Here's the page on Brooker. Y'all just go read about this guy and go watch some video of him doing Whiter Shade of Pale. Let me go to Just One Night here. Just One Night, Eric Clapton album. So this is what Clapton looked like back then. Hopefully it's going to pull up the album cover. That is what Clapton looked like back in those days. That's kind of how he dressed, kind of like a cowboy. He, like I say, he's into sort of country music stuff, playing the old black strap vest. That looks very much like, I remember when he turned that guitar around at one point. At one time he took it off and handed it to somebody and played some brown strap. And he played strap the whole night long. But the back side of that guitar was wore slap out, folks. It looked like his belt buckle just eat the back side of it. That's how much he had played that guitar. Guitar was just stained all over. I wish I could find a better version of this cover to show you. Like it's pulling up on Amazon. We're not gonna, oh, there we go. That is what Eric looked like back in that day, and he was a monster. I remember the first two songs he played slide on both of them, on the brown Strat. Then they brought the Blackie out. You can see all the worn out finger marks there where he's played so hard on that guitar. And that night, he just leaned back and wailed. He didn't seem to be high on anything. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't stoned that I could tell. He looked like a man that absolutely had it together, playing with incredible intensity and fire, feeling the blues. I mean, I was just absolutely dumbstruck by how amazing his performance was. And I was hoping here I could see what I was going to tell you about the set list on here. As you can see here, he did play Early in the Morning, Lay Down Sally, Wonderful Tonight, Tell Us the Time, all that. I don't remember him doing this If I Don't Be There by Morning. Worried Life Blues, he played that. Fantastic. All Our Past Times, that's the one that Albert Lee sang. He definitely played After Midnight. Double Trouble, he totally played that. He definitely played Blues Power. He did play Rambling on My Mind, and he went on for a long time. It was a big, long, stretched out thing. Further on up the road, he definitely did that. Definitely did Cocaine. Definitely did Layla. And I can't remember, as you see here, Gary Brooker did not play on this album. When did this come out? 1980, April of 1980. But this was largely the band that I saw. And I'm here to tell you, best crackerjack musicians, best band I've ever seen put together of supporting musicians. Now, I'm a big Rush fan. I think probably the best three musicians I've seen, the tightest three musicians are Rush. But if you put together a supporting band, I can't imagine better than Eric Clapton, Chris Stainton, Markey, Spinetti. I mean, I can say if you hit on Spinetti here, you'll see that he is the guy that played on Baker Street and all the different Jerry Rafferty songs. Somewhere again here, I looked at these things again earlier today, and he definitely played with Clapton. The bass player, I don't think I found a profile for Dave Markey. Yeah, it doesn't have him on here. But definitely go, and if you're not, the number one person I would check out if you want to see somebody fantastic. Now, he's a wild-looking dude, and he's definitely old now, and old and gray-haired. He did not look like that. He had black hair when I saw him. But is Albert Lee. Go look up this various different YouTube videos of Albert Lee playing. He now plays a Music Man guitar, it's like signature Music Man, but he's definitely a Telecaster master. That's what he played for the longest time. I don't want to prolong this other than to say that You know, I don't worship anybody. The only person I worship is God, Jesus. I'm very much a Christian person. So I don't deify anybody. Clapton is not God, but I will say this: he's a Zen master strat player. To this day, he's still a tremendous player. I don't care about the controversy that swirled around him. I mean, I've had 3 vaccinations. Clapton had 2 vaccinations and had a reaction to it and put out some songs that were negative vax. If you want to hold that against him, hold it against him. I don't care. He's not an anti-vaxxer. He's had them. He just had a bad reaction to it. So I'm defending him on that front. I'm also here to say that he deserves incredible respect as a guitar player. I'm not sure. I think maybe the other song that he did do was Sunshine of Your Love. He did do a Cream song, which I had forgot that he'd even done. Like I say, he might have even done Badge. I think he might have done Badge that night. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with some live shows that I've seen of him, but all the ones on this record that I pointed out, he did do, and I just remember coming away from that show, and Terry and I both, we just sat and on the ride back across the mountain in North Carolina, we said, was that not maybe the best? And we'd seen a lot of concerts. I used to like to go see a lot of concerts back then. As you could afford to go then. It was $7 or $8 to go see. I mean, I paid $7 to see Clapton. So, of course, that was big money to you back then. Years later, I saw Eric paid $50 to sit in the nosebleed seats in Charlotte. And it was not the same. He had another crackerjack killer band, of course. This was probably about 1993 or 94, somewhere along in there. I did not enjoy that. This is when his last time he's got a Bob Bradshaw rig and he's got probably 50 effects on his guitar, and it was still a great show, but you're sitting up there watching it with binoculars. And the thing I've said in some of my videos before, I was so close. I'm actually watching the master. I'm watching him lean back, and when he would sing really loud, spit would fly out and hit us. And so I've said this in some of my other videos. Now, I'll end it with saying, yes, I've been spit upon by Eric Clapton. There's no way he'll probably ever see this video, but if he does, hey, Eric, I'm that guy you spit on, me and my girlfriend, and we totally dug your show that night. And it did change everything about the way I play guitar and my approach to playing, and it changed the way I appreciate guitar music and how I enjoy it. And watching you and Albert Lee, along with other people that I sort of was highly influenced by, it's brought me great joy to study you guys and to try to pick up on what you do. And if nothing else, just to enjoy the energy and the passion that y'all put into music. So here it is, 40 years later, 40 years on, I'm 58 years old, and just remembering that incredible night in Bristol, Tennessee, in a high school gym, 3 feet away from Eric Clapton, and watching him roar, my friends. What a tremendous show. And then just to find out that I did see one of my heroes that I always wanted to see, which is Gary Brooker. Did not realize he was the guy killing it on the keys in that band. So I'm going to end this video just by saying again, thanks to all those guys, to the ones that have gone on. I guess the only one that's dead now is Gary. I think that Stainton's still alive. I'm guessing maybe the drummer and the guitar player. The drummer played a lot for George Harrison, and I think he played in the concert for George with Eric. Albert Lee, fantastic to have lived in a time when I could see these guys at their absolute prime and it have an influence on my life. Peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel if you like. If you got any stories about Albert or Eric or any of the other guys in the band, if you're a fan of Procol Harum, leave your comments. Tell me what your remembrances or really cool stories or your feelings about the music of these people or their influence on your life, what it meant to you. Thanks, folks, for watching.